I just don't get it. I pray, I read the Bible, but it feels like I'm just talking to the ceiling. The verse says, I will never leave you. But honestly, it feels a lot like being left. With the stress at work, the constant worries about the kids. Where is he in all of this? The feeling of being forsaken is one of the most powerful lies we face. Let's break that verse apart. It doesn't say, I will never let you feel alone. It says, I will never be absent. That's a huge difference. I will never leave you. The original Greek here is incredibly intense. It's what's called a double negative o. Umise ano auta se egatalipo. It's the strongest possible way to say something in that language. It's not just a casual promise. It's God emphatically declaring, I will never, no, not ever, leave you. And I will never, no, not ever, forsake you. Let's look at that word, forsake. It means to abandon, to desert, to leave someone behind in their greatest time of need. So God is making a solemn vow. In your darkest hour, in your biggest failure, in your most profound moment of need, I will not abandon my post. I am not a fair weather friend. But how do we reconcile that with the times it feels so empty? When the diagnosis comes, or the money just doesn't stretch far enough? How do we make sense of that gap between His promise and our reality? We reconcile it by shifting our focus. We have to move our gaze from our circumstances, which are constantly changing, to His character, which does not. The point isn't about trying to get Him to show up. He's already promised He is present. The real work is about training our hearts to perceive Him, to recognize His presence right where we are. So, how do we apply this? First, we apply it to our identity. This powerful promise, I will never leave you, was originally given to Joshua. He was about to face literal giants and impenetrable fortified cities. His success wasn't going to be based on his own strength or his army skill, but on the simple fact of God's presence with him. So when we feel inadequate, when we feel like we're not smart enough, strong enough, or good enough, we don't need to beg for God to come and help us. We can start by acknowledging the truth. He is already with us, and therefore, we are adequate in Him. It changes the prayer from God, please help me get through this presentation, to God, you are with me in this room. Let me lean on your strength, not my own. Second, we apply this promise to our fear. The command that is always attached to this promise is be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. His presence is the antidote to fear. It doesn't mean the scary things go away. It means we have a resource greater than the fear. The practical application here is to speak truth directly to our panic. We can say, I feel afraid, but the truth is, I am not alone. And because I am not alone, I can choose to be courageous. And third, we apply it to our obedience. Joshua couldn't have taken the city of Jericho without following what must have seemed like a completely illogical battle plan, marching around a city and shouting. But he moved forward because he trusted the promise of the one who gave him the plan. When God calls us to something difficult, maybe to forgive someone who doesn't deserve it, to serve when we're exhausted, or to give when our own resources are tight, we can obey. Not because it's easy, but because we trust the one who is with us in the act of obedience. So the promise isn't some magic force field that stops bad things from happening. It's an anchor. The storm of life still rages. The waves of doubt and fear still crash against us, but the anchor holds firm. My job isn't to stop the storm, but to trust the anchor. That feeling of loneliness? That's the storm. But the promise, I will never leave you, that's the anchor chain, rooted deep in the unshakable character of God. And your faith is your hand, holding onto that chain, even when you can't see the anchor through the turbulent water. So today, when I walk back into the stress and the worry, I'm not going to beg for a feeling. I'm going to choose to trust a fact. I will speak to the fear and the loneliness and say, you are a lie. My God is here. Thank you. I really needed to be reminded of what's true. I think we all do every single day. Thanks for watching, and if this was helpful, please consider subscribing for more. We'll see you in the next one.